Here we are, and welcome to another episode of the Friday Night Movie Podcast, where we last left you. I have such a hard time saying where we last left you. Lily had just had a baby, but unbeknownst to us and her at the time, she would go back to the hospital many more times, and thank goodness is alive. We're not even joking. Thank goodness you're alive, Lily. Welcome back.
Thank you.
You scared all of us there a little
She
bit.
likes a good flair
Yes.
of drama. It's something Lily and I texted about a lot. Like, she likes to have a little extra dramatic
Lily does.
ending to
And
everything. Yes.
can't
Yeah,
just
you're
Lily
talking
does
about the
love
kid
it.
who'd get like hives when mom and dad went out to dinner. Like,
Right. Everything needs like another.
right. She's like,
stakes
"Oh,
always need to
Becky,
be higher.
oh Becky, you almost hemorrhaged and got a balloon. I'm gonna do it bigger and scarier and during COVID."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Corman girls, we like a good hemorrhage here and there.
Oh my God! Thank God you're
Was-
okay, Lily.
A little
Everybody's
near-death
worried about you.
experience to make you appreciate life.
It was,
And
a bit scary. Like, it's birthing a human is no joke, and feel very grateful that I had access to an incredible medical team that saved my situation relatively quickly, considering, could have been much worse. So, so now I'm still recovering, but doing much, much better.
and your baby, Mr. Asher Rain.
He's doing great.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
fine.
luckily
That kid's just
he's-
like eating and growing.
Eating all the time.
He's the size of a toddler.
As they say, Kane Nahara.
Yeah.
Baby can eat.
No, thank God he's okay. Yeah, it was me that it was touch and go there for a second, but we're back.
You
Which
look like you have
again,
some-
I talked to Becky, and Becky and I were supporting each other during it, and we were really worried about you. We didn't want to tell you how worried we were because we knew you'd be stressed. But like, I partially I realized Becky was upset also
I didn't even
because
realize how worried people should be about me.
it is
Like my
that I-
doctor the next day when I saw my doctor, she was like, "So like this is how people die," and I was like, "Whoa, way to start the conversation." I was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "Yeah, it was a little bit more difficult than we thought." I was like,
And
huh.
I think, Becky and I, we were really worried about you. So we call each other to talk about it. And Becky, loves you and is really upset and worried. But I also think it maybe dawned on her that if something happens to you, she's stuck alone with me. And she seemed very, very stressed out.
That's not the deal with the universe. That is not the deal we made.
And we are joking about this because
That's how we cope.
That's how we're coping.
That's
We're
it.
so glad Lily's okay.
But I feel
All
like
right.
anyone who's my friend knows that the more I joke about something, the more terrified I am of it. So there we go.
So thank goodness you're okay. All right. Then I want to also just remind people to rate and review the show. It really helps us. And I have been counseled that it's good to do this at the top of the show after you announce
I
maybe the
also-
big news.
I was about to say, I also like that you did that right after like telling this terrifying
That's what I'm saying. Like, do
story.
it after the big news. Let's
So there's
rate
like
and review the
there's
show.
like a little guilt in there as well.
Yeah, like, but and then I want to start off the show with just reporting to you all on a little bit of stuff we've been watching, but more so the reaction. Do you all remember the Three Musketeers movie from the 90s?
Yeah, with Chris.
Wait, hold on. Don't mention who's in it because
Oh,
dear friend Danielle Stein, who is going to get a top of the episode shout out. We were on a Zoom call, Allie, me, Big Josh, and her. And Josh, of course, of Josh's Complaints. And we were telling them how we watched it with the kids on Disney Plus. And her answer was, "Oh, yeah, I know that movie. It stars Kevin Connolly, Bryan Adams, and..." He was
What?
just throwing, like, random names.
Brian Adams. Oh, where is Brian Adams?
And so I just thought that was so perfect because then I made a meme for her that I
Movie.
sent her of Kevin Connolly from Entourage, like the guy who plays Eric.
yeah.
And then Bryan Adams in his like full everything I do for you hair, even though he did do the song for this movie. And then I just figured who else would be perfect for this, because if she continued to guess and mess it up, she would have definitely guessed Emilio Estevez because Charlie Sheen's in the movie. So I put him in it too. So Stein has recast the Three Musketeers of the 90s as Kevin Connolly. Probably as D'Artagnan, I guess. I don't know.
But it was Chris O'Donnell,
Yes.
Oliver Platt,
Yeah.
Charlie Sheen, and I don't know, was John Malkovich in that movie? I
No,
can't
that's
remember.
Man in the Iron
That's-
Mask, which is the same characters.
Come
And
on.
it's like the fake sequel to the movie because it takes place a few years later with all the same characters, but it's not really the same. Like,
So then
no,
who's
it's
who's-
Kiefer. Kiefer plays Athos, the like very serious one.
So there's really so there's 4 Musketeers?
Yeah,
There
D'Artagnan is the
are
fourth.
3 Musketeers. D'Artagnan comes to join the Musketeers, but there are 3 left. And
So,
the,
but
So
by
there's
the end of
4.
but by the end of the movie there's 4.
there's 4. My kids were very confused about this too. They're like, why isn't it the 4 Musketeers?
And it's Kiefer Sutherland is last one. Oh, I'm gonna give that a rewatch. I loved that movie.
You
as a
love that
kid.
It's
movie.
very
I
clear. It's
did.
very clear with that movie. People were like, okay, so people will go see Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. They do not care about the accents, like remotely. And they like the swords, but it's a little bit scary. So let's make a version with a Bryan Adams song and some hot stars of the day. Completely disregard what country anyone is from with the accents. But we'll just put less like witchcraft and human sacrifice in it and make it a little bit more Disney. And honestly, it was a lovable, fun experience.
I remember that as a child.
And it has so many fun. I just imagine watching it with mom and her going, "This is a swashbuckler." And I kept saying that during the. I was like, "Kids, this is a swashbuckler." They're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, "This is how they made movies in the olden days with people falling in the hay and and
Jumping from horse to horse.
and sword fights and anyways. At first, of course, they were
Right,
terrified, but in the end, they liked it.
Oh, that's awesome. I gotta give that a rewatch.
And then
Gotta
we
give
made them
that a
watch
rewatch.
the music video with Rod Stewart, Sting, and Bryan Adams. And I kept thinking that
That
just
seems like an unnecessary trio.
right because
Like that seems like a lot of
they're
hair
all wearing
in one place.
extremely tight pants in this video. But I thought that it had clips from the movie in it, so it was going to be sort of like recap of the movie, the way the "Everything I Do It for You" video was. Whatever version I found online was not. It was just them like in a studio looking cool.
I also feel like I need to give Prince of Thieves a rewatch. That's a
The 90s.
classic Kevin Costner.
And I'll say later today, I am going to go out and probably put together like a little package to mail Lily with
Please
some
don't.
stuff.
Please
Don't.
don't. Just order it to my house and I'll mail it. Just do that.
Why would you say that, Lily?
Because you have like what we've now confirmed.
I want to find
Like
the
if
photo.
if there's an isolated incident, you can't be blamed for something, right? It could be an accident. It could be. There's so many excuses. It gets and Shai's so defensive. I don't know if people know this about him. He's
so
sensitive.
sensy.
He's a sensey and he's defensive, which he gets from mom.
No,
Okay.
but with mom. It's very specifically with mom. I
But
don't
in
walk
general,
around my
you're
life
also
with-
pretty defensive, like with your siblings. So
yeah, but not like
Okay.
in my regular life. I'm pretty mellow about that stuff. But with mom in particular, I'm very defensive.
the point is that like you get so defensive. However, we're now past the point where you have no choice but to admit it. Like you have a problem and you should not be in charge of anything that needs to be packaged, wrapped, sent, mailed,
Have you seen me wrap
including
a
writing the
package?
address, including writing the address on the package.
Have you seen me wrap
Oh
a
my
package?
God,
I
what a
still can't do it.
disaster.
So what happened?
I'm
You
gonna
want me
try
to tell the
and
story? I thought you had a story to
you
tell.
should no. You tell the story
I'll tell the
because
story.
because
Shai
look,
sends me a
no,
package
hold on.
of no.
Start with the part where you ordered.
No,
You ordered like one thing
I'm going
to
to
my
start with
house?
the part. No, I'm going to start with the part.
No,
where
and then mom and dad
pandemic
sent
Spain. No, pandemic operation send stuff to Spain begins with you sending Transformers months ago. And it was odd that it took like a month and a half for the package to come and it was held up in customs for so long and it was like a whole big thing, but eventually got here. So we were like, bravo, Shai, you did it. You crossed international borders with a package. We were so proud of you because we didn't really know how this was going to go. Then Becky sends a package. And I was like, oh, Beck, man, it took Shai a month and a half.
It's very
Like, be
nerve-wracking.
Really careful. It was like really nerve-wracking. It was going to cost, you did like a whole thing where you bought a box. You got to fill it as much as you wanted and they charge you a set fee. And I was like, oh no, I'm not sure. I think Shai UPS'd his for like $1 bajillion. I was like, you be careful. Becky's gets here in 13 days. In one piece, no customs, nothing. And we're like, Jesus, what is going on? And then we realized it's because Shai repackaged all that stuff in an old Amazon box. So when he wrote on the package, it's like used toys. They're like, this is bullshit. This is an Amazon package that somebody paid for. And strike one. Then Becky gives Shai the brilliant idea that you could fill up these normal postal service boxes. That's a possibility. So mom and dad gravely mistaken. Flat rate boxes, right? Shout out to the.
Let's be clear. Give mom and dad a finger. They take your whole arm. It wasn't like let's throw a few extra things. Some house. 25 packages
to send. Becky, I don't know if you know this story. So Shai, instead of getting the gigantic box,
it through. Our WhatsApp chat where we regularly get photos of random things that show up at Shai's house. And the assumption is just that it's mom and dad ordering things to his house that he's then going to send them.
Well, get this, Becky. So Shai then gets the box. Like he gets all these packages. It's not that many, by the way, Becky. You know Shai's a good exaggerator. So mom and dad sent a bunch of stuff. I ordered a few things.
UPS store at Christmas.
Okay. And so Shai doesn't stop complaining. Like, can't, avoid it. He's just complaining about this the entire time. Like, oh, my God, I can't believe I have to stand here and have somebody bring packages to my house. I can't believe I have to recycle the boxes. And then he goes to the post office, and he finds the smallest flat rate box you can possibly purchase.
It was the large one. They were called large.
I think he went in and was like, can I have the 3 smallest boxes? And he pays the, expensive flat rate fee for a box that's a third of what Becky sent. He puts 3 things in each box, Becky.
I did not. No, but the reason why I was very careful.
He felt bad, that maybe the Transformers that were in there would feel squished. He's like, what if they get claustrophobic on their way over?
No,
overseas?
Because when I sent Becky a package and I filled it up to the top, the package
exploded. And they had to bring it to her in a
looking through my phone
box
to find that photograph. To post with this episode. I still have a plastic bin on my front porch from the post office because basically what the post office just did is they just dumped the contents in a plastic box,
just so nice of them,
and brought it to my house.
People were like,
how much stuff was missing?
People are like, oh no, mail fraud. Mail fraud. They're not going to be able to vote for the president, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, they brought Becky's shoes from Arlington and a plastic box. These people can handle some mail-in ballots. They should have thrown Becky's package out that Shai sent her. No.
To be clear, I have a lot of single shoes. Only half of the pair.
That's not the Postal Service's fault. That's Shai's fault.
No, it's Shai's because he split all the shoes between the 2 boxes. I don't know. It doesn't even make sense.
Anyways.
No, it was definitely a screw it, get it back at the airport situation. I just, there was this pile of stuff. I just threw it into boxes the way it would fit.
Right. Yes, we could tell.
I can tell there's stuff in my package that was not meant to be mailed, but was just in the vicinity of the stuff that Shai was packing. And so it ended up in the box 100%. 100%, Lily.
So, okay, wait. So Shai's like, okay, I want to get your reaction for unboxing. No, only 2 of the 3 packages made it here. He did not put my full address on the box.
The third one come yet?
Nope. Can't find it because it doesn't have my apartment number. Shai just assumes everything is the States were just houses. He's like, you only need one number on your address.
No,
and I'm like, but I
find you if they have to drop it at your building and they have your name.
So give the poor postal worker more work.
No, but I didn't know you have an apartment number.
Where do you think I live in an apartment building? You've lived in an apartment building, Shai. They have apartment numbers.
Spain, okay? I just figured that in your small town they know your name and they just bring it to you.
It's not a scavenger hunt for the postal worker, for God's sake. They have to find me.
That is what happened, though.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, isn't that what happened? The guy knew you and he just brought it to you.
No, he went to the bookstore next door and he was like, do you know if this person lives in that building? And they're like, there's a foreigner that lives there. Try her apartment. Only she would be dumb enough to have somebody send her. But it has
your name and your address. It's just missing. Anyways, okay.
Anyways, the point is this, is that, Becky, I'm unboxing, and the first thing in one of the boxes is the tiniest Gap jumper that only someone as teeny tiny as Allison, Shai's wife, could wear.
Which, by the way, when I packed it, I was like, I'm so glad I got Lily's maternity clothes. I was actually telling
maternity. This looks like doll clothing. How could it be maternity clothing? for a woman who looked like I basically had twins, but there's only one baby in there, it was like doll clothing, and then the tiniest little
It probably
underwear that
would-
looks like
probably-
it's for a Barbie.
It probably would fit Asher though.
It might fit my kid. But then I'm looking at it and I'm like, the guy sent something that Allie ordered from the Gap all the way to Spain. You have problems.
And
Fail.
then, and then
Huge
Allie,
fail.
I told you,
Allie,
just
Allie was
grabs
behind
whatever.
me when you. Allie was behind me when you sent that video, and she's like, "That's where my jumper went. I have been looking for it for weeks and feeling like such a moron because the Gap said it was delivered, but I couldn't find it."
Shai, I think you have to just take this.
I told you he just grabs things that are in the vicinity of the box.
When it's
And-
Somehow he's like yelling at everyone and complaining, which is hilarious.
And now a public service announcement: potatoes can kill. We had been buying potatoes to use in the air fryer. Make sure Mom knows this, okay? Because I only was
You're
buying
not supposed
potatoes.
to eat the green ones.
Yeah, I was buying potatoes just because Mom bought us an air fryer. And so, of course, you know me, I stockpiled potatoes in the basement. Well, Allie comes downstairs and tells me there's black sludge in our basement. We were worried it was black mold. No, it was coming from the potatoes. So we start cleaning it up, and there's this really bad smell. And then I Googled it, and apparently not only can potatoes rot, but what they rot into is like poison gas. And they like it's like, people.
Here's an idea: don't leave rotting potatoes in your basement.
I didn't remember they were there. Anyways, the point is, it's clean now. We bought a lot of fans.
Clearly, you should only buy packaged food. Shai.
You have an
No,
air
it was in a package. It melted through the package. It ate the pack. Just people, keep your potatoes in fresh, yes, and then if not, keep them in a place with ventilation. But speaking of things getting killed, or not getting killed, I guess, of gross things, The Boys is back and has a lot of gross things in it. And we've now watched episodes 1 through 4. I, by the way, love that they did 3 at the beginning and then are dropping them once a week, because I feel like there's so much content. This gives me an order in which I can watch this. I don't feel like I got to stop what I'm doing to binge the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
So we're on
They gave you enough at the top that you feel satisfied after waiting.
Exactly.
So
like there was like a mini binge, and now I'm okay waiting once a week. I think this is a great approach, especially when everyone's in their house all the time. It's like allows me to prioritize. But the show picks up where I didn't remember. I mean, I saw the show fairly recently. I did not remember much. Did you remember much about where the show picked up?
More or less, yeah. I remembered. I really liked the first season.
I remembered the gist, but
I remember Elizabeth's shoe got melted.
Yeah,
Right.
I remember like that. I remember like the big reveals, but there's just like major scenes that are referenced in season 2 that I know they happen, but I don't remember what happened in them. I really could have used a season, like, I know they did a season 1 recap, but I felt like they left out. Like I feel like I need to go back and
I think you can
episodes.
actually find it somewhere on Amazon, but like they should just put it.
It wasn't a good enough recap for me. Like there's major.
Anyways, we find the boys. I guess hanging out in some like opium den.
They're hiding now.
Without the butcher, and Homelander had a son with his wife that probably is a superhero or something, and Huey and Annie, aka Starlight, are trying to figure out how to expose Compound V and Vought because they think that'll bring Vought down. By the way, now we're going to go full into spoilers, so catch up on The Boys. You only have to watch 4 episodes. I feel like that's totally doable. And then going
on Amazon
forward,
Prime, by the way.
Amazon Prime, yeah. And there's a new member of the Seven, Stormfront, played by Aya Cash from You're the Worst, aka Gretch, who is fantastic. She's just
she is
actor.
Perfectly cast for it. She's
Perfectly.
a great addition. She's a much needed addition. Yeah.
And she's been brought in to, I guess, balance the villainness of Homelander. Like Homelander has to have some kind of threat, and because he's so overpowered in his powers. So she's now brought in, and she's got an angle that she's playing. We'll get to that. And then Butcher is trying to go and find his wife, who he realizes is now alive, who is living in some crazy compound. In the meantime, Kamiko, who has now recovered quite a bit from the horrific abuse and like human trafficking but she's still traumatized. But a super terrorist, I guess is what they're calling it, or super villain, depending on which character.
Well, that's a great bit. That is a great bit, actually, that they are keeping up, is that Homelander wants them referred to as super villains, but everyone else calls them super terrorists.
Yeah, and now so her brother is now introduced at a certain point in the first couple episodes. And then we'll get through this, but I'm just kind of setting the scene as a ideological, anti-establishment, anti-American terrorist who has superpowers, but he's also loves his sister, and they kind of reunite for a short period. And anyways, stuff happens. Almost like now we're getting to the level of the plot where like it doesn't really matter. But what I think this show gets back to right away to bring you back into it is they just start killing characters. Like you just see like a few very, very extreme kills.
Yeah. So if you're going to watch this show, I think even more so in season 2, you have to watch it knowing that, or I guess to some extent being okay with like the kills in this are very strange, very disturbing, extremely over the top. I think it goes beyond satire into grotesque. We can debate that.
But they're also played for laughs in the show.
That's what I'm saying.
Like when they blow up this poor woman's head and they splatter Huey with blood again, which is exactly what happens in the first episode. No, I couldn't help but laugh, but like, wow, this guy's always getting splattered with blood.
Right, but I'm saying it really pushes the joke, like the killing for the joke. I think it still kind of just barely lives in that place where it's for a laugh, but it like also makes me nauseous. You know, the whale thing was like very upsetting.
Well, so to play
that was hilarious.
Yeah, so
it's clearly not real.
I know, but it's so sad.
So to play it light,
I love when
this is going to be full of spoilers.
I love when I think it's Butcher that's like, "Come on, Pinocchio."
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So let's start in like a sort of darkly funny place, and then we'll talk about overall reactions. But so I'm going to throw out a couple of the major kills, okay? But if you have another one, by all means. The CIA lady whose head just explodes out of nowhere at the end of the first episode, which I guess she's killed by Kimiko's brother. I guess that's who blows up her head. I don't know.
No.
We don't know who.
We think Stormfront. No?
No, she was nowhere near there.
No.
Why would it be Kimiko's brother?
Because I think the super terrorist was. I don't know who else could.
No, they think it was someone.
Head.
Well, that's not his power.
For VOD. It's someone working for VOD. It could even be
someone working for. We think it was someone working for VOD that saw that she was getting close to. See, whatever. I can't even follow. Whatever.
Right. So, anyways, her head blows up. Then there was the whale, where the Deep tries to block the good guys on a boat, if they aren't good guys, but the boys, and they. Instead of stopping, they drive the boat right through the whale, and that's where Lily's talking about Huey's stuck in the whale, splattered with guts.
He won't get out.
He won't get out. He calls him Pinocchio. That was pretty funny. Then you have a darker kill, Kimiko's brother, who gets just like ripped apart by Stormfront, and that's when Stormfront reveals that not only does she have indifference to human life, but she's a racist and a piece of garbage, which again... Props to Aya Cash for delivering that performance that way, right? Because she nails the character. And then there's a dude whose head gets sort of like snapped off by Kimiko, and then
who is that? I don't know.
He's the guy who's from the terrorist organization. When they're going to find her brother, she like goes into an office and pulls that guy's head like right off.
Right off, yeah.
And then there is the snapping of the neck of Homelander, who there's like a guy who can shapeshift, and he's shapeshifted as Doppelganger, and Homelander like twists and like breaks his neck like a doll. So of those, what is your favorite? Now I sort of was being funny at first, but like favorite can be funniest, it can serve the plot. Like which one of those to you like brought the most value?
The most surprising was the CIA agent. I didn't expect that. Like Esposito. getting her head blown off. I was just like, what? Like, that shocked me. The whale, I was like, damn, like the production, the whole thing, that they actually did it. I had seen Jack Quaid reference it on Instagram the day before, but you couldn't really tell what it was at the day before it was released, I think. And so I was like, where is he? In like a heart? Like, he's all gooey and stuff. And then when I saw the scene and MM won't leave without him or whatever, I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty funny. And the best is the Deeps.
Well, because the Deep, I mean, the thing is the Deep who has
really
had
funny.
like who's really a putz.
Yeah.
And there's like a running bit about how his power of being able to talk to animals is just like so stupid.
Right.
But here he is. He's got like an army of dolphins and sharks chasing them, and then he gives like the superhero look and comes across the front, and he's standing on the whale like he's gonna save the day, and then Butcher just drives like right through it, and he doesn't catch them because he's worried about the whale, and it's just a reinforcing of how the Deep is like not like the humiliation of the Deep as a character, which I thought was really, really funny. In terms of the actual like that was fun, but I don't think the Deep is particularly important to the story overall, or he hasn't proven to be. So I'm going to go though with my quote unquote favorite, meaning the one that I thought served the plot the most would be it was going to be Homelander killing his doppelganger, but the reality is I think it's Stormfront killing Kimiko's brother, because it is that moment in which it is confirmed. Like, we all knew she was going to be bad, and Aya Cash had said, my character's the villain, but it is so brutal and so mean and so vicious, and then it takes this further level of being racist that it establish her as a legit villain, which the show needs. Otherwise, Homelander is just the only invincible bad guy angle of this.
Right, and I think there's also something to be said that Homelander's so despicable and horrible that the only way to maybe make his character, but Tony Starr's so great that the only way to like make this make his character more useful or more productive, I think, for the story is if they have a common enemy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he now has two enemies, because you have Giancarlo Esposito. You have Giancarlo Esposito, who is the head Edgar.
Yeah.
And he's first of all, that guy is just one of the best actors ever. And in this role, he is perfection as the Emperor.
I want to say my favorite kill was the head exploding, because I genuinely jumped out of my seat and yelped, and none of the other ones did that to me. And it is a callback to the first episode of the first season, Huey again. And I think that makes it actually, I feel like in that way, it's comedic because they're doing a callback, whereas the other ones are grotesque or vicious or sad, and they're not. And that's okay, because they serve the purpose of the story in different ways. You each make good points, but that first one was to me actually funny because of how it calls back to that first episode, and it's the first episode of the second season when this happens. So
and Beck, how are you overall feeling about this season? Let's kind of just go around and give our just overall reactions, and then we'll drill down.
I'm just I'm enjoying watching it, but I really feel like I have these giant gaps in my brain of not remembering stuff that I feel like is pretty important. I don't quite remember how but I don't think
you should have to remember. Well, a Compound V, that's silly. You don't remember that.
I remember it, but I'm what?
I couldn't remember
Compound V. Was he taking it as a drug? But then who knows he's taking it? Where's he getting it from? Wasn't he a drug runner at one point? What happened to that storyline? So I feel and what was with him and Starlight in the warehouse with Huey? What? I don't remember a lot of stuff that happened. He almost died. He didn't die. Anyways, I feel like I need to rewatch a couple episodes. So I'm a little bit confused, but other than being confused, I really like the addition of Stormfront, because I don't think she's going to be a straight up obvious villain the way Homelander is. Oh, he pretends to be good, but really he's a psychopath. immediately with Stormfront, just in the way that she's talking about Vought and the way that she has her public image, I'm like, no. There's going to be layers to her. Like, how did she end up here? Who is she really connected to? Why is she able to say these things? And I like that the layers are slowly being revealed with each episode, because it's not going to be as simple as she's just evil. There has to be something bigger going on. So I think that makes it exciting and is drawing me in.
And I think she adds this whole like there's an element of the show that's a comment on America, but I don't think that is within the main boys characters. They're just like the heroes against the system. But there's this amazing scene between her and Homelander, Anthony Starr, Aya Cash and Anthony Starr, at the end of the first episode, or no, the fourth episode, which is when you also hear more about her backstory, where she says, she's basically telling him that time is passing him by. She's this great line where she says, you don't need 50 million people to love you. You need 5 million people that are pissed and have them on Twitter. And she said, you have fans, I have soldiers.
Yeah.
And to me, that's such like a bigger comment on the political system, where he's not like he's a good guy or anything like that, but there is this like democratic cliche about him, and she's like, I'm undermining the whole system.
So another thing that an interesting part of the way her villain character is written is that I feel like it's I can't think of the right word, but it's not entirely obvious all the ways in which she is a villain. And she has this one moment on the beach with Starlight, with Starlight, where she says, like, okay, put your issue aside with the Deep. We need to go catch these people. And she says to her, and the next time someone sticks a D in your mouth, bite it off, right? And it's a very harsh thing to say. And you have this moment of being like, yeah, be empowered. And then you're like, wait a minute, you're victim blaming. And you're basically telling her it's your own fault for letting this happen to you. And if you know anything about sexual assault, it's not like when someone is being assaulted, it's not so easy to necessarily like fight back and protect yourself. Like it's sort of go into survival mode.
She's being all like
girl power,
but she's
not.
Actually
she's paying a lot of lip service to populist woke sort of concepts.
Yes.
But she has another agenda, which is essentially to undermine those things.
Right.
Which I think is fascinating.
Right. And the reality is that if you go back to that first episode and you look, or those early episodes when that happens to Starlight, she's in survival mode. She is not a superhero protecting the world. She's just trying to save herself through that, and get through this horrific experience, which is traumatic to her. And so I felt like in that moment, I was like, ooh, she's evil on lots of levels. This is like a very interesting multi-dimensional character, because it's a bit subversive, or it's like, it's surprising how she's kind of undermining, like you said, each of the characters, because she's doing that just as much to Starlight in that moment that she does to Homelander later on when she call, like even that small moment where she's like, you got to get here first, Gramps, or whatever she says when he misses the opportunity to kill Kimiko's brother. Anyways, so she's getting inside all of their heads.
I have to say that I think that I was so excited for season 2 that like I couldn't help put myself in the situation where I may be disappointed in it. And it sucks because I really love the show and I'm so super happy to watch it, and I hope they make many more seasons. Like I'm enjoying it. I just feel like there's like a bunch of like weird writing choices or story development choices that feel like a bit disjointed or anticlimactic, that I'm just sort of like, wait, what? Like the arguing between the boys and the butcher still. I'm like, really? Like, guys, it's just like a bit repetitive, and it's a bit like, I need the story to move forward. I've been waiting on this show for so long, and look, spoiler, if Butcher's wife is like, but you don't want kids, and you just bye, we're breaking up after all of this, and I'm like, okay, fine, just break up. Like,
Well, he doesn't want her kid that
He
is
doesn't want a super kid.
Right,
Yes.
and he's also upset because Homelander raped his wife, but he can't get past it. I want to bring in, so our dear friend Mark Toner was going to try to come in, but he couldn't. But he did send some notes. He was detained, but he.
Wait, I just have to say, sorry. I just feel like, hold on. I just have to say
You
that
interrupted someone who's not here.
No, but I feel like I wasn't finished. I just feel like that love story and that whole thing was so. Well, Becky, you gave an answer 15 minutes or what you think of the show, and you don't even remember it. So I'm just saying, size aside.
At least it was about the show and not about the postal service.
Shai asked for that.
No,
the point
that
is
was
that
important.
the point is that I feel like that love story and that whole thing between them and all the drama and him searching for her. And then it's basically, she's like in a Subaru and she's like, sorry, I'm not coming with you.
But I have to say, I was always suspicious of her commitment to him. Is this I
just
always
done?
felt
They're
like
just done and we can move on now after
no,
all of
I don't
that?
think so. But Mark writes in and he says the first few episodes he found were a little bit plotting. It took him a lot to pull him back in the show, and that there's way too much time on the Deep story. Now, Mark's a huge Butcher fan because the Butcher, he felt like the Butcher, there wasn't enough of the Butcher. I don't agree with that because if anything, I feel like right now Butcher's character is like on a different show than everybody else.
Right, exactly.
He's still like being grumpy, like Huey's proven his value.
Right, they need to rewrite that or something, get him back on track.
But I do agree that it's so much time spent on the Deep story, and I'm like, to what end? How is this going to serve the show?
Well, first of all, his therapist is Susan from Friends.
Yeah.
Love that.
Second
great
of all,
great casting there.
The cult is clearly going to play a big role later.
It's setting it up for that cult, which is I don't mind the deep scenes.
No, you know who I mind?
Funny.
You know who I mind?
Who?
MM and Frenchie. I don't think they are bringing anything to this season.
I like you.
No, they're just like this weak bridge between Huey and the Butcher. But they're not really serving any purpose, and they're taking up time.
I see what you're saying.
Whereas
I thought I was like enjoying watching like a bit more character development with him and having him have more of a role since Butcher's not doing anything.
Right, but
Frenchie's way wasted.
But part of me
just a lovelorn drug addict.
Parts. Yeah. You know, I just don't think like those guys were supposed to be they were more prominent.
Also, when you talk about plot holes, it's like anything can go wrong in a snap. Well, then why don't you take turns sitting in front of this guy just watching his hands be tied up?
Yeah, they're a little bit
they're a little loosey goosey.
Yeah,
they just have like a bunch of duct tape.
I think one of the problems with the show is the politics within the Soups and the Seven, and is just and Vought is so interesting, and then the outside story of the boys, apart from Huey and Starlight, is just like a typical ragtag group story where I'm like, it's not holding me. I just want to get back to like Homelander and Maeve.
Okay, I feel like this is one of the things that's confusing me about the show. I don't entirely know what the boys are trying to accomplish. Other than different goals. Right, other than this general idea that they hate Soups and want to take down Vought, but like
that's pretty much it.
But like how do they want to do that? It seems very muddy and confusing. I don't really understand what their plan is, how they're going to do it. Like, okay, the CIA, if they provide information to the CIA will scrub their records clean, but like is that their goal? Because then that becomes the goal, or is the goal to take down Vought? Like, it's just very confusing.
Yeah, it is very strange. One thing I think that is incredibly strong about this, Mark also agrees, is Anthony Starr. How, like, I agree with him. He was in Banshee, which is also a brutal show, and there's nothing funny about the violence in that show. It's just brutal. And he is so different in this show. I mean, he's always like a step away from violence in that show too, but he is so different. I feel like he's emerging out of this show as the true star that I thought he should be when he was in Banshee. Because Homelander, like when he tenses up his jaw and he makes that face, I feel like he's like acting with his facial muscles, and it's fantastic.
No, he's great.
He's really good.
And he is so
And
terrifying.
I
Every
like
time he
watching.
I believe it.
I like
Every time he
watching.
drinks that
I believe it.
milk.
He's so but it's a great. He has great character development in this season. Whereas he's so terrifying, but then it's hilarious to watch him get so annoyed by the memes and like about him, and like so stressed out and so bogged down, and he has like no self confidence.
Well, he's very fragile, you know?
like how psycho and how fragile he is.
But
I
and
think
how
it's a
that's
great combo.
driving him closer to want to be closer to his son as he feels more alienated from like his
And
fans.
he's
I
not
guess
that smart, which I find great. Like
well, he's always been very strong, so he's never had to be.
But
very
he is
smart.
always a step ahead of everyone.
he's a step ahead, but it's kind of without like real calculation. Like he outs Maeve, but for revenge, not for any kind of strategy or you know what I
Well,
mean?
it is. He picks the moment to do it when he's being asked about diversity in the Seven. When Melissa Menunoz's character asks him about this.
Maria Menounos. But yeah, I don't know.
Maria Menounos, sorry.
I guess. I don't know. I just feel like I like that there's this mix of psychotic behavior with not the sharpest tool, yet he's smart enough. And has no confidence. I think he's fascinating. He's great.
How are you all feeling about Huey and Annie? Mark says he is not feeling the spark.
Don't care. Yeah. Like I feel like with me, it's a bit tough if you've lost me on all the love stories. Like
that is true. I don't care about any of the love stories.
Don't care about any of the love stories.
I'm
even Butcher and Becca in the first season. I was like super invested.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
I'm
anticlimactic.
I'm more interested in Huey's relationship to Billy Joel songs than I am his relationship.
Also,
with
like, how do you think that happened? Did they just buy the rights to like his entire?
So good.
Yeah, I mean it's a licensing thing, but yeah, but I also love that the song "Only Human," which is not exactly a core Billy Joel hit. This is a song that was a single released as part of the Billy Joel's Greatest Hits 1 and 2. Remember that double CD?
Yeah, of course. It was
the last song or second to last song on that. And I just love that that's the song that's repeating. And then they bring you some "We Didn't Start the Fire." And I like, who doesn't want more? I mean, I would say like my biggest requests are more Billy Joel, more Aya Cash.
Yeah.
Like that's what I need more of. And I could like, if and Frenchie.
And again, I just need a clear motivation with clear stakes for the boys.
So,
I mean,
so what you're saying is you want to understand the plot.
No, because there's two dueling things going on right now. Do they want their record scrubbed clean so they can get back to their lives, or do they want to take down VOD? And it's not that those two things can't exist together. They can if it was once we take down VOD, we can get back to our normal lives. But that's not how they're playing it. They're like these two. They treat it like it's two opposing factors. I'm like, so what's it about? Every episode you're trying to achieve something different.
That they're like not really acting like they're on the same team. I'm like, the show is called The Boys. Can you just all be on the same team?
Well, I just think that part is the least original part of the show.
If Butcher
everything is so original except that part.
Butcher is missing, mysteriously missing. How does Frenchie call him? We don't know where he is. They spend the first episode saying they don't know where he is, and then he's like, I called him. What?
This is my favorite thing about this show is that it does something that The Last Kingdom does too, which is like they do leave out a lot of stuff, and I'm good with that. Like when the butcher goes and he goes to break into Becca's compound and he says, "I'm going to Becca's compound," and the next time you see him jumping the wall, I'm like, thank goodness, because I did not want to watch like his road trip and how he snuck in the front or whatever. Like the assumption is
shooting all the guards.
Exactly. Like get us.
Just like walks up to her car and
but like pausing to give the camera the finger, I feel like, or just wear a hat and then don't show them your face.
Yeah, that was very stupid.
Or change your facial hair. Like there's so many things you could do to make this a little bit harder for them to find you.
That's totally true.
What's Black Noir's power?
I don't know, but I just love the fact that he's called Black Noir. It's like there's so many great satirical moments in it that it's
right. That's one thing that I also will say that I do love about the show and loved in season 1 and still love in season 2 is that it's funny.
Yeah,
it is darkly fun.
And that's fun.
I think Black Noir is just like a super strong stealthy ninja. I don't know.
Maybe.
I just love that he doesn't talk.
And I love the Homelander answer. And we have Black Noir, who does not identify as a race or does not have a race.
So those people are fine. Yeah, that was Homelander's like glib dismissiveness of those values versus Stormfront, who is pushing those values and using them to rally people, but also manipulating people, is really, really interesting, and is far more interesting than trying to get the bad guys. And I think that's and in that sense, like my base level is I really love this show. I want to see more of it, but I'm okay like being like, okay, 4 episodes in, guys, let's bring this together already. So I think we've talked a lot about Stormfront. Do you want to talk at all about the big reveal about her that happened at the end of episode 4?
Sure. That she's old. I don't
That
get it.
that she's really 70 and
she has to be like
and...
one of the first soups then.
Yeah.
Because this
I just to me it just means like I now see the character as this like really, really social media savvy, horny bubby.
Right.
that's how Aya Cash plays it, and it's really funny.
Right. And it's also clearly someone who has been waiting for her second wind, you know?
The Billy Joel song.
Billy Joel, there we go.
She's been plotting her comeback.
She's plotting her comeback. She's waiting for her second wind. So she's got her second wind, and let's watch out.
Okay, let's do MVPs, LVPs, MIPs. All right. Becky, do you want to go first?
Do I want to go first? Yeah, okay. My MVP is I'm torn between Kimiko and Stormfront, because I think they're 2 super interesting characters right now that I'm excited about. I want to see more. And
they've been set up to be arch enemies.
Yes, yeah. And so I guess what I'll do is
it's clear one is much more powerful than
the other. So I'm going to do well. You need an underdog. That's what makes it interesting. So I'm going to put Stormfront as my MVP, because I think she comes out of the gate super strong. She's really interesting. We talked about her a ton, so we know that. And I'm going to put Kimiko as my MIP, my most improved player, because if I look at her from season 1 to where she is now, and that arc and that setup at the end of episode 4 of this arch enemy, and I do hope actually that they really emerge as the leading characters, because as we're talking about, the boys are like barely keeping it together. And my least my least valuable player is A-Train. Why is he even on the show? What is he doing?
But that's part of what Homelander is saying to him, that he's like, he's a junkie. He's not. He says, "You not." Yeah. I love when he goes, not even the top 20 fastest of the superheroes.
So if something interesting happens with him, where he ends up helping Starlight or the boys as a way of getting back at Homelander and Vought, or even if he's not fully trustworthy, okay, cool, I'm happy you kept him around. But so far we got 4 episodes and I got nothing from him.
I think he's a good second level villain. In some ways he's like a villain that Huey can handle. Huey can't fight Homelander. Like maybe he will eventually, but Starlight and Butcher are really the ones who are matched up with Homelander vis-a-vis the story. Huey is more like an annoyance to Homelander, whereas A-Train is really, really focused on Huey, and because he killed Huey's girlfriend, and because part of why he got all this stuff got exposed was because of Huey. So I feel like, and A-Train, he's fast, but he's getting weaker. So I feel like he and Huey. And there's like a match there. You have Kimiko, and that's a very comic book thing to do, right? Or a movie trope.
Yeah, matchups.
Then Kimiko and Stormfront, and then maybe Homelander and Stormfront, but Kimiko and Stormfront because of the revenge story. So I feel like you've done some good, that part is developing really well. What about you, Lil?
I erroneously chose as my MVP.
Did I ruin it for you?
No. I feel like
you can have him. I think you make a good point about his character development.
I appreciate, I was like, Butcher's barely in this season, who I love. I love that character. And we're getting a little bit more of his backstory about what his dad did, his OCD.
Well, he drops a little nugget there, and he says, that there's some really bad blood between his family and either Vought or superheroes and Vought.
Right.
So we'll obviously find out about that. But they got to give him something. Otherwise, like, why are they-
Right. So, and then A Train was my least. Sorry, I have a little baby here who is needed to eat. A Train is the worst. So he's my LVP for all the reasons that Becky said. And my most improved is the Deep, because I was like, if we're gonna be in the show, I'm loving like how dumb you are, and this cult is just like
manipulating. I mean,
manipulating the shit out of him, which is just so funny.
Bringing in the wives as if he was like Tom Cruise.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you're gonna make his arc more interesting because he's the connection to another villain or another foe or whatever, sure, and we get a laugh at his expense. Sounds great.
That makes a lot of sense. That's very cool. Okay, so my MVP, it's either gonna be Stormfront or it's gonna be Homelander. Becky said Stormfront, so I'm gonna go with Homelander because I think Anthony Starr is like playing on such a high level as an actor, and he is just so terrifying and disturbed, and he brings fear. When Starlight talks about her fear of walking around the tower because he could be around any corner, that's how I feel when she's in a scene, is that he could be around any corner. And I think that is a tribute to how they've written the character and his performance. So for me, there's your MVP. My LVP is going to be Frenchie. Between MM and Frenchie, it's going to be Frenchie because why did he leave that Red Bull can in the room with a telepathic person? Like, he's not, part of his character is not that he's
telekinetic.
Telekinetic. But he's not that, part of his character is not that he's dumb. And I get that he was trying to be nice to him, but like, what was he thinking? So between the two of them, who I don't think are bringing much to the season, that he's going to go lower because of that scene. And then my most improved character is actually, for me, is going to be Huey. I think Jack Quaid, like, he already had a high point, but I like just love him now. I think Huey establishing himself as a leader in the group and earning the respect of the other guys, of really having some good ideas, and even though the Vought thing didn't work out, he had a method to his madness. I love how he stands up for his moral compass. To me, Huey, and also just his ability to still have the funniest things happen to him. So for me, Huey, because from the beginning I was like, so the show's about this guy? Okay, cool. He's related to Dennis Quaid, whatever. But like now this season has made me even more of a big Jack Quaid fan. So I'm gonna go most improved for.
All
right. Let's get into Recs and shout-outs. Lily, you have now had a baby, survived multiple surgeries. What are you watching? That's the next question people want to know after.
Okay, so if you know me after what is our anniversary soon, our podversary for 3 years.
Podversary's in October, yeah.
Right. If you know anything about... Okay, come back to me, because mine are really good. Just come back.
Okay, all right. Becky, what about you? Your Recs and your
I have no joke, in the last week, essentially exclusively been watching Seinfeld. I just randomly started at season. First, I did a playlist that Shai made of all of the kid-friendly episodes. Then I watched a couple from season, I think 9. And then I actually started at season 3. I've watched all of season 3. I'm partway through 4. I'm going to finish. I'm going to go back and do 1 and 2. I cannot get enough of it. It makes me so happy to watch.
It's obviously not perfect. It's obviously a little dated, but in a lot of ways, it's more tame than some of the stuff that's built on it now. And I think it's hilarious. It's classic comedy.
Even though some of it, like you're saying, is dated, it holds up as absolutely hilarious. And I love it, and it makes me so happy. And I just am binging, and there's so many episodes. All I do is I just binge that, and I'm also still watching Rake on Netflix, which is awesome.
Julia freaking Louis-Dreyfus, she's a national freaking treasure. Like, I know people think the Emmys should be spread around, and that's fine.
No, she could just have them.
But she is truly royalty, right?
She's phenomenal. And I haven't seen all of Curb Your Enthusiasm, but I've seen enough of it to feel like I understand the Larry David caricature much better. And so now watching George, I appreciate how funny George's character is, whereas I think when it was originally on air, he was very irritating and I didn't
My
like
kids
him.
think he's
But
the
now,
bad. My kids think he's the bad guy.
I mean, basically, because when you see Curb and you understand Larry David, you go back and you're like, oh, and you know George is based on him,
And
and it's
George
this
is
character.
nice compared to Larry David.
Well, he's a caricature version. You know, he's another
Yeah.
version of Larry David. It's truly amazing. So that's it. I just say my Rex RX has been watching Seinfeld.
I have a bunch today, but I'll go really quickly. Number one, Andy Shankman, one of our oldest buddies, the Shankman himself. He has been part of a band called Jumpcuts for many, many years, and they put out great music. They released a single earlier this year, and a song on it, which is On and On and On. And the name of the single is And. So On and On and On is the song, And is the single. And it is absolutely phenomenal. And I think it would be a great song to put, like, you know, the non-Billy Joel parts of The Boys? It would fit beautifully in the energy and the imagery and the edginess of it. And I texted him and I said this, and I realized he probably would not like endorse this because it's me being catty about another band. But I said, this is what Arcade Fire wishes they could sound like. This song is truly fantastic. And Andy has given us permission to put it at the end of an episode. So at the end of today's episode, you will hear And by Jumpcuts. You will hear On and On by Jumpcuts from the And single. And we'll put the links in the show. And I hope you enjoyed because it's fantastic. Go listen to it on Spotify, iTunes, wherever. We started Troop Zero last night, which is adorable. Again, it's very oversimplified in some ways. But if you take it on its face value of a story about young women going to, like young women kind of finding themselves and their troop leader and all of that, very, 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 very good and very fun. We were watching it with the kids. We got halfway through. I liked it. I would have kept watching. Misfits. I finally figured out who gets the I Told You show. It is someone I know from work. Her name is Emily. She's awesome. I finally figured out that it was her, and I stopped what we were doing. We were having a conversation just to explain her I Told You shows and give her one. So, Emily, you're a genius. You get the I Told You show.
Right on.
I am watching The Expanse because of Josh, and I will say this is not like amazing just yet, but it has some really cool parts, including Thomas Jane in like a noir Blade Runner type of role, and that's something that keeps me hooked into the show. And Allie doesn't have any interest in it, so it's a show I've been watching on my own. And then so that's where I'm at, and that's where I'm at in terms of my recs. How about you, Lily? Are you able to give them now?
I will try. I'll try to be fast. I wrote them down because I have no memory. Okay, so if you know me, you know that if like something that I love is like some star-crossed lover situation or like some like drama, and like just bump it up a notch and put that drama in space, and I'm buying it. Like I really like space love dramas. I've decided, and I'm gonna get on that bandwagon. But also Hilary Swank, man, like that woman can bring it. And I am all in on Away on Netflix.
Yeah, is it good?
I really liked it. I don't think it's for everyone. I think there's like let's say there's 10 episodes. There are 2 episodes that it's just too much like about the drama and not enough about the space stuff. So you just trudge through those, and then like you get to like watch like space stuff, which I just think is cool.
Let me say this, Lily. The Expanse doesn't have a star-crossed lovers component that I know of just yet, but I would never recommend it to Becky. I think there's a scenario because I think you would be like, what is this like third-rate sci-fi show? Like I meaning like you could watch it and maybe like it, but I'm not going to like put my reputation on telling you to watch this show.
Right, like if I watch it it's by my own choice.
Right, like if you watch it and you like it, that makes me so happy because then we have a show to watch. Yeah. But I think there is a chance because Lily has that like Lost in Space like nerd sci-fi side of her that The Expanse has enough in it that you would be into it.
I will say that this show has it going for it. You like Josh Charles, Shai, too, and he's in it.
You love Josh Charles.
You do, and he has like a good. Long time. I know. And Mom was just sitting there being like, he is ugly, but like if you look at his whole face, he's so good looking. Like she just kept saying that. She's like, his nose is ugly, his forehead's ugly, his chin's ugly, but look at that face. He's so good looking. And I was like, calm down, good
He's
wife.
like a Jewish Matthew McConaughey. I don't know if he's actually Jewish,
I don't know
but
if he's
like,
Jewish, right.
but he looks like a Jewish Matthew McConaughey.
He's got a pretty like, dramatic role. What I like about it is that it's quote unquote realistic. Like it's not futuristic or anything. Like this could supposedly happen all like right now.
The Expanse is not realistic.
Right.
I'll tell you that.
So that, we finished it and we watched it like as a family, and I would say I'm not putting my reputation on the line, Shai. I don't think you have to watch it, but I was entertained. I just watched Don't Think Twice that Becky recommended, that I had meant to see, but then I forgot about it. The movie about the improv people. Recommend that. That was fun.
Was it great? Yeah.
It was really interesting. Yeah. I watched your guys' favorite actress, Lily Reinhart, Betty from Riverdale.
Oh.
In her teen drama, Chemical Hearts.
Oh my goodness,
Right.
Lily. You're knocking out I haven't seen this, but you are knocking out some solid watches here. You're helping the people.
From last week where I was like, I can't watch anything, I just had a baby. I have taken it up a notch.
It's because you're in the mode where you're nursing like basically 12 hours a day, that's it. You essentially nurse 50% of the day, and so you need stuff to watch.
I can't sleep this whole time. I have to watch TV. Then I watched the Reese Witherspoon part of that first episode of Home Edit.
What is that show?
It's a show where people organize other people's closets.
So I'm going to watch someone organize their closet instead of organizing
this is
their
Allie
closet.
told me it was like her dream show. She loved every minute of it.
Right. I think I don't know if I could watch the whole show. I have enough with like Queer Eye, but it was fun seeing the Reese Witherspoon part because they organized like all her movie memorabilia. And I'm a sucker for that shit. So I thought that was pretty fun. And the girls in it seemed really nice. And then obviously Life in Pieces, which I guess will be replaced by Seinfeld when I finish it, because it's kind of like that same sort of like feel good, helps get the oxytocin going.
Yeah.
And then I watched also I Can Never Be Your Woman. And that was cute. With Paul Rudd and Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh, yeah, Amy Heckerling. That's my like dated really but enjoyable rec.
I kept being like, I was very surprised that a lot of the jokes, which would not be okay today, were from 2007 and not 1997. And I'm like, I forget how long ago 2007 was.
Yeah, and but also it is a movie that is making some pretty heavy comments on like ageism in Hollywood. So on one hand, it has some like very
and
much
race.
There's
like some stuff about race in it.
Yeah, so like on one hand, it has some pretty smart stuff. On the other hand, it's sort of out of time, so it doesn't.
Yeah, but it was cute. So, I've really brought it. I brought my game up this week.
That's good. All right, now you got to get on Misfits because you'll like
Misfits.
That.
Yeah, that's next on the docket. That'll probably be tonight.
Okay, Becky, where can people follow you?
At Paper BK Princess on Twitter.
Lily, where can people follow you?
And I forgot to say, Chemical Hearts, Amazon Prime. It was better than most of the teen shit on Netflix.
Amazon Prime has higher quality stuff.
It's definitely higher quality and not your typical, it's more of a serious teen drama. But it was entertaining enough. It was sweet and and not like feel good. Like it's like more serious. Chichi, Chihik Gomez on Twitter. And I know, Shai, you're going to run through the causes we're supporting and the charities we're supporting at the very end. But before I forget, I want to say that I'm going to make a donation to Every Mother Counts, which is a charity that helps make sure that women survive childbirth in the United States and in, I think, a total of 7 countries around the world, because it's no joke. And
me too.
Yeah.
I'm doing that right now.
It's really, it's no joke. And in the United States, it's a serious issue that like women don't survive childbirth as much as you think that they should. And then of course, in other parts of the world. And I know there's a lot of causes to support right now and a lot of things to support now.
And in the United States, certainly disproportionately women of color, Black women,
right.
have much higher mortality rates than white women, which is a very serious issue.
And you'd think that would be impossible, but it is entirely possible. Childbirth is dangerous. And I just feel like, for me personally, this week, that's an important cause to support. So I didn't want to forget that. And you're up, Shai.
You can follow me at Pancake and the number 4 table on Twitter and Instagram and Letterboxd. You can follow. What is that? What's going on there?
Oh, sorry.
Mom's like,
my window's open.
someone's just like mowing the grass. You can follow all the Friday Night Movie shenanigans at Friday Night Movie on Twitter and Instagram, or FridayNightMoviePod.com. As Lily mentioned, we are supporting some important causes. Every week we mention the NAACP Legal Defense Fund and the Equal Justice Initiatives. These are really, really important things for our democracy, especially right now as we get into voting season. So please look at both of these initiatives. And then I want to single out a charity that Allie and I supported this week called Bass Kids, basskids.org. It's local to the D.C. area. It's founded by an amazing woman that I know, and some other folks. But the woman I know, her name is Jasmine Butler, and it is dedicated to promoting reading amongst kids in schools, particularly in underserved areas. Right now, they're doing a project that is especially focused on Black authors and books that talk about self-esteem and racial equality, and they themselves go in and read books for schools. And so Allie and I went on their website to make a donation. They prefer a monetary donation right now because of because they're working with a specific curriculum of books. So we actually went and you had an option to donate, so many books per student or something like that, or just support a whole classroom. And Allie and I decided to support a whole classroom for Bass Kids. So check out baskids.org, baskids.org, and check them out. It's a very cool way to make immediate impact because, again, these folks are on the ground doing the work with the kids. They're extremely dedicated, and it's a very cool local foundation. And then from there, I'll talk about the fact that the Friday Night Movie theme will kick in. It is by What Does It Eat? We have new music on Spotify and iTunes. And stay tuned at the end, not for music from us, but for music from Jumpcuts, the song On and On and On, our dear friend Andy Shankman, and his new single, and it's on the new single, and go check it out. It's really, really awesome. And with that, it's been so great to see you guys. I'll see you later. Love you. Bye.
Bye.